Okay, alright. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, this video about report food hygiene and sanitation. Okay, alright. Before that, I intro myself. My name is Samir bin Ibnu. Number metric DHM 04210007 in course diploma in hotel management. Okay, alright. I direct to my presentation. Abstract. Asset analysis critical control point developed as a management tool to provide a structured approach to control and identify asset. Number 2, it was jointly developed by Pillsbury Organization and NASA in 1916 with an objective to provide food product for astronaut consumption in space. The purpose of the study is to design or modify the generic H apps model for food production in hotel catching. Next slide. Introduction. HACCP was jointly developed by Pillsbury Organization and NASA in 1916 with objective to provide food product for astronaut consumption in space. Number 2 is a very useful commercial business tool that be asked to improve the quality food product, ensure safety of food product, and reduce the risk of food poisoning. Apps as a system of monitoring critical control points and step in food production process where potential ethical hazard to food safety has been identified. Next slide. Objective. It's a CCP focus on the types of hazards: biology hazard, chemical hazard, and physical hazard. Number 2, biology hazard, the type of hazard that receive the most attention in the apps system and also present the greatest risk of severity and occurrence. Number 3, biology hazard includes hazard from pathogens such bacteria, virus, yeast, and mold. Next slide. Problem statement. Number 1. Lack of expertise, knowledge is essential in developing apps plan and implementing apps certification. Lack of technical expertise is most often the biggest problem in the development of a food safety program. In order, in order, in order to develop a program that meets apps principles, having food safety knowledge is essential. Knowledge of food processing and food production would come with a degree in food science or microbiology, or with qualification as a food auditor. Number 2, large range of product types. Single apps plan is not appropriate. In order to ensure a well-designed safety system, ada significant challenge is when operation as a large range of product. In this practical case, a single apps plan will not be improper. One of the goals of the apps team is to review and group all the products with similar characteristic and processing system. Slide. Academic perspective. Number 1, food safety training is hugely important for with range of roles in a number of industry. Number 2, from those working directly in the product of food to those who sell it retail. It's essential that works understand how to safety work with the food intake from human consumption. There are varying levels of food safety training with many different elements, often tailored towards the role and industry in question. Next slide. Practical perspective. The first section of this document set out the principle of the hazard analysis and critical control point system adopted by the Codex Alimentarius Commission. The second section provides general guidance for the application of the system, will recognizing that the details of application may vary depending on the circumstances of the food operation. Number two, the apps system, which is science beside and systematic and specific specific as it and make sure for the control to ensure the safety of food. Oh, apps is told to assess hazards and establish control systems that focus on prevention rather than relying mainly on in product testing. Any app system is capable of accommodating change such, uh, such as advance in equipment design, uh, procedure or technological development. Next slide. Advantage and disadvantage. Advantage. Uh, establishing critical control points. The first question asked when a foodborne outbreak happens. Where did things go wrong? Critical control points. The instances the owners revises when investigating a food safety incident to determine how the food was contaminated. Typically, CCP occur when the food is handled, transported, stored, and or prepared. Number two, corrective measure and accountability. Food safety solution help owners regulate these critical control points by alerting employees of unfinished tasks like temperature checks and notifies manager when procedures are not followed according to plan. Next slide. Disadvantage request technical, human and material requests not always available at the company. Request sink effort and involvement of all elements of the organization. Demands time availability, implicates a change in attitude, request detailed technical data and constant updating. Request conserving information for a simple way of the interpretation. Request con considered attention of all participants of the food China. Next slide. Recommendation. Congress shall change federal stat status so that enforcement and research efforts can be beside on scientifically supportable assessments of risks to public health. At a minimum, Congress shall legislatively modify the provisions of the Meat Inspection Act and the Poultry Products Inspection Act that are now understood to require bicycle inspection of animal carcass and thereby forget request to be allowed in a fashion that is not calibrated to risks. Okay, conclusion. This slide. Next, references. This one slide. Okay, evidences. Experiences. This one, human rights, food safety, environment, trade, first heroes on occurrence and development lah. Alright. Okay, so my presentation report food hygiene and sanitation further only. Okay, alright, and thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so my presentation report food hygiene and sanitation uh further only. Okay, alright, and thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.